Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's third video. Going to have a look at the weather next 10 to 14 days for today's third video. So day 10 will take us to around the 7th of May. We'll be able to extend out beyond that in extended GFS and ECM ensembles over around a couple of weeks. Going to look at the CFSV2 for the next 4 weeks. That'll take us into the second half of May, of course. Two videos released so far today. So I had a nice little 7 AM upload, just having a quick look at weather next 2 or 3 days, and also the ECM 30-day forecast for UK and for the rest of Europe as well. Check out those two videos if you would like to do that. Thank you so much, everybody, for all of the support. You know, like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Thank you so much to all of you for doing that. Right, so going to begin with the situation in the stratosphere over the North Pole. So this is from the JMA, Japanese Meteorological Agency. We're looking at temperatures at 10 HPA. So the grey line is the trend line for the temperature at 10 HPA, and black line shows how the temperature has been performing through this season, where we currently are with that temperature at 10 HPA. We go all the way back to the beginning of the season with this, back to September 2020. We're now pretty much at the end of this year's polar vortex season. I'll explain why in a second, but we can see that temperatures at 10 HPA initially through like the autumn were generally a little bit weaker than average, a little bit cooler than average, I should say. We go through to December, we power the polar vortex up a little bit, and temperatures warm up slightly then. But it's really early January that we get this sudden stratospheric warming that knocks the polar vortex on the head for an extended period through the middle part of the winter. So we get a what we call a sudden stratospheric warming, where temperatures lifts up by around 30 or 40 degrees in a couple of days, in 2 or 3 days. And yeah, so that sort of knocks the polar vortex on the head for an extended period. Through most of January, we keep the temperature at 10 HPA warmer than average. But in February, we get a dramatic cool down taking place. That's associated with a powering up of the polar vortex then. And so to the end of February, sort of the second half of February, we power up the polar vortex. We have a return of the westerlies. It becomes much milder, much wetter, much windier in the second half of February. Since then, the polar vortex has generally been pretty strong as we've gone into March and early April, but gradually the temperature has been lifting back up again. Now, when the temperature is cold, the polar vortex will be stronger typically, and when the temperature at 10 HPA in the stratosphere is warmer, the polar vortex will be weaker. So we see a very gradual lift up in the temperature as we go through March and into April. It is a slow old process, and you know, it takes a long time for us to get back to the grey line, get back to average. However, right now, this is where we are right now, and we are now warmer than average with the temperature at 10 HPA. So we're above average with temperatures at 10 HPA, telling us that the polar vortex has pretty much now come to the end. It's not happened through a sudden stratospheric warming, it's happened through just a very gradual warming process. You know, that's seasonal, that's down to the time of the year. 30 HPA, we are actually still a little bit colder than average, however. So you probably still have some last vestiges of the polar vortex left a little bit lower down towards the troposphere at 30 HPA, because we have not yet got back to like our long-term average, which would be around here at the end of April. You see that 30 HPA, the trend has always been the same, so we have it cooler than average, like through the early part of the winter, through November and December. Then we get the sudden stratospheric warming in January. We get the dramatic cool down in early February, and the gradual increase in temperature through March and April at 30 HPA in the stratosphere. But still, as I say, we are a bit colder than average there. However, we can see that we're going to continue to warm the temperature up at 10 HPA over the next few days, and that should eventually see temperature lower down at 30 HPA, getting back to, you know, getting back to average, and probably going warmer than average in a few days' time. This is how the temperature currently looks at 10 HPA by metroseo.fr. This is so this is like the warm temperature. We have these green and yellow curves where we have sort of warmed up the temperature in the stratosphere. This is from the GFS model, of course. Right, so we run through and we see, but you know, it's just all very typical for the time of year. Not a sudden stratospheric warming. It's just a warming that has occurred due to the fact that the sun is now in the northern hemisphere, and so it's going to warm up. You know, it's going to get warmer now that the sun is in our hemisphere at all levels of the atmosphere, be it the stratosphere or the troposphere or down on the surface. We will see the temperature warming up at this point of the year, you know, through seasonality. And so we keep these green and yellow colours going now, right way through to the end of May, and this tells us that we are moving in, of course, to the northern hemisphere summer. This is from weatheriscool.com. This is depicting the strength of zonal winds. So zonal winds is a kind of way of looking at the strength of the polar vortex, if you like. Remember, when the zonal wind and the polar vortex are weaker, you'll typically have a warmer stratosphere. When the zonal wind and polar vortex is strong, you'll typically have a cold stratosphere. So the blue line again shows how the zonal winds have been performing through this season. Black line is the trend line, of course. So you can see that early on in winter, zonal winds were generally a little bit stronger than average, actually, at 10 HPA in the stratosphere. Then you have the sudden stratospheric warming around Christmas and New Year, and that meant that the zonal wind, dropped. It became weaker. In fact, we had a reversal of zonal winds through the first half of January, and that occurred after that sudden stratospheric warming. Of course, then through February, the zonal winds power up, and the zonal winds have been pretty strong then as we've gone through into the spring. However, zonal winds have now gone into reversion. You can see this here from where the blue line currently is. So the blue line is now underneath this 0 line just here, which tells us that zonal winds have just, happened in the last day or so, gone into reverse. And that tells us that the polar vortex has pretty much died now for this season, although there may still, as I say, be some last vestiges of it left near the troposphere at 30 HPA, due to the fact that it is still a little bit colder than average there. But overall, it looks like this year's polar vortex has died. It's been a very weakened polar vortex through most of the season. It did power up in the second half of February, but overall, the polar vortex this winter, for winter 2021, was much, much weaker than particularly the winter before it, where we had the polar vortex of doom, of course, in 2019. And 2020. So yeah, that brings it to an end, I think. That brings it to an end. So we probably won't look now again at the polar vortex and temperatures at 10 HPA and all of that sort of stuff. Probably won't look at it again until like September, October time, when the next polar vortex season will begin, and that of course will be for the winter of 2021-2022. It remains to be seen, of course, what sort of polar vortex we have for the winter of 2021-2022. But I think for 2020-2021, PV is now pretty much dead, and that's it for this particular season. Right, so that's that dealt with. Let's move on then. We're going to have a look at the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles the next couple of weeks. So red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average. We're at Eden Bridge today in Sevenoaks. So we're starting off a little bit cooler on average with the upper air temperatures already. They're going to be dropping further over the next few days, so we're in for a protracted spell of really quite cool, if not cold weather, really, certainly from an upper air temperature perspective over the next few days. You see how far below the red line, how far below the 30-year average we are. We do get a slight recovery in the temperature as we run into the second week of May. See the upper air temperatures just beginning to stage a little bit of a recovery then, but not really getting back to the 30-year average, certainly not with the ensemble mean, which is the white line. There is a lot of scatter, of course, so we've got the colder GFS ensemble members down here. We have got warmer ensemble members up here. But it looks generally cool, I think, for certainly the next 10 days, and possibly for the next couple of weeks, and more unsettled as well. I think that's going to be the big story, perhaps a little bit more so than temperature, to be honest, because we had such a prolonged dry period through this April. So if we're going going to turn it more unsettled and get some quite significant rain going. That will be very notable after how dry it's been. So we've got another day or so of relatively dry weather to come at the moment for Eden Bridge, but we will start turning things more unsettled later on in the week, and then that takes us through, through to the end of April into May, and it just looks pretty unsettled really. There's plenty of precipitation spikes coming through. There will be bouts of rain. And yeah, so an unsettled start to May looks very likely now. Anyway, and if you're waiting for some rain for your garden, then it looks as though it very much is on the way. Temperature anomalies from the 27th of April to 5th May going to be cold now, not just the UK, but through most parts of Europe as well. The far southeastern corner of the Med is a little bit warmer than average, a little bit hotter than average there through like Greece and into Turkey. But other than that, it's pretty much cooler or colder than average right from the western shores of Ireland and Portugal all the way over to Russia. So a very chilly week coming up. And precipitation anomalies from the 27th of April to 5th of May. Overall, a little bit more unsettled now, so some southern parts of England having above average rainfall, still a bit on the dry and average side of central and northern areas. I expect even there, though next few days we will start to see things turning more unsettled. Many parts of Europe also starting to look more unsettled with above average precipitation now as well, you'll notice. Latest wind flow map from earthnullschool.net shows that we're dropping a trough of low pressure southwards through the country and pulling in chilly northeasterly winds as well. They're going to continue right the way up to the weekend. In fact, this is how the GFS, not this is how the UK Met is looking for Friday, 30th of April, pulling in the wind from a northeasterly direction. So it's going to be cool on Friday. Winds will be in from the northeast, coming from these slids at this time of year can sometimes be relatively warm, but this is a cold sort of east-northeasterly because the air is actually originating from up here in the Arctic and then moving southwards across northern Europe. So a chilly, if not cold, northeast wind taking us up to the weekend, and then into the bank holiday weekend. We keep it cool, everything becoming rather slack, but it's a blocking area of high pressure that is the main drive, and eventually start to move some lower pressure in from off the Atlantic. So by bank holiday Monday, we may be starting to turn things wetter as well. Let's go backwards. So this is how the GFS 6Z is going to be looking. So let's see if we can get ourselves back to that. So let's see what's happening here. There we go. Right, so this is how the GFS 6Z is going to be looking. Again, winds are coming in from a northeasterly direction on Friday. So it's going to be cold with showers. And then we will have further showery conditions as we go through into the weekend, and when we bring low pressure in off the Atlantic, and that could bring spells of rain in for bank holiday Monday. A bit of uncertainty about how unsettled it gets through this bank holiday weekend. It may just be like showers, or we may actually get a washout on bank holiday Monday. So it just remains to be seen. But the general trend through into next week is to turn things more unsettled with low pressure coming in off the Atlantic. It's still in combination with blocking areas of high pressure around Greenland, so not only unsettled but also cool as well. This is quite a significant area of low pressure at 985 millibars, which will bring a lot of wet weather with it. That's how long as we get to day 10, which is going to be the 7th of May. Again, very unsettled with low pressure right over top of the country with spells of rain and cool conditions too. Into more extended range, we do try and pull up something a little bit warmer from the south and southwest here with the 6Z as we get into the second weekend of May, weekend of the 8th and 9th. That tries to pull up some warmer air from the south, but it's all very unsettled, it's all very volatile with low pressure very much in control of that. So even if we do start to bring up some warmth, some heat from the south, there is quite hot air over France and Spain. But if we pull that up, all it's going to do is fuel the area of low pressure. So it just probably brings lots of heavy rain and maybe even some thunder. But it would increase the temperature a bit, and it would lift things up, particularly for more some parts of the country. Still cold, of course, up in the north, and probably bringing spells of heavy rain. We look unsettled as we end the GFS 6Z on Tuesday the 11th of May, high pressure again to our north and still low pressure to our south. So it is a bit warmer. We are bringing the air up from like south-southeast direction, but still lots of heavy showers involved with that. GM, again, winds are in from the northeast on Friday into the weekend. Again, we keep things cool and unsettled. Eventually, we bring this area of low pressure in. This is midnight on Tuesday with a very deep area of low pressure sitting over England and Wales. So this implies there's probably a washout on the GEM today on Bank Holiday Monday for England and Wales anyway. Scotland, maybe Northern Ireland, kept out of trouble to some degree. But that's a significant area of low pressure. It's right over top of the country at midnight on Tuesday the 4th of May. So that implies it moves through the country on Bank Holiday Monday, probably bringing a washout bank holiday with the GM. That gets out of the way, goes to Denmark by the middle of next week. Winds go into the north, so it becomes much cooler, if not colder, with northerly winds. And as you head up towards day 10, again, low pressure just rattles in off the Atlantic, bringing further spells of rain. The winds are pulling up from the southwest with that, so it is getting milder, especially so more southern areas, but it looks very unsettled, doesn't it? That looks like autumnal type chart, really, rather than a May chart. And then the ECM looks like this. Again, winds are in from the northeast on Friday, so it's going to be a chilly start to the weekend. This area of low pressure at midnight on Tuesday. Again, it's the same low, but the GEM has just in a different position. So this time it's over Scotland, implying that there probably is a bout of heavy rain and strong winds moving through the country on Bank Holiday Monday, and more particularly so for the north rather than the south. So it's just it's that position and timing of this area of low pressure remains to be seen. But there is a potential here for a very wet and windy day, or spell of weather anyway, on Bank Holiday Monday. And beyond that, moving up towards day 10, just keeping it unsettled and cool, really. One low pressure gets out of the way, turns winds into the north, more low pressure in the Atlantic waiting to move in. There's going to be more rain, or there's going to be rain to come, and if you're waiting for it, it is on the way, I think, through the first week of May. This is a big precipitation type forecast based on the ECM run. So showers, if not longer spells of rain for central, northern and western areas through the course of today and into tonight as well. Those showery conditions continue into tomorrow, particularly focused for southwestern and southern areas. Actually, central, northern and east areas do turn dry. Could even be some significant rain into the southeast there as we get later on into the week. So central, southern, southeast England. Getting some significant rain, not as much for East Anglia though. Then we're into like showery conditions as we come to the end of the week into weekend. Some of these showers are quite heavy, maybe even a little bit thundery. There could be some winteriness in there as well, more particularly over high ground. And then we are going to get to Bank Holiday Monday, of course, where we bring in this wet and windy spell, particularly into the north and west. Remember, the GM has that further southwards though. For like Bank Holiday Monday. So that all remains to be seen. They're just unsettled really as we run up towards day 10 with further showers, if not longer spells of rain. Still cold enough for winteriness in those showers over northern parts of the country. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensemble today for day 10 via the Icelandic Met Office. Gets us to the 7th of May. 12 members of the ECM ensembles are looking unsettled here, with low pressure over to the north of the country, includes the control and the operational run. Another 11 just here have low pressure just to our east and bring down the wind a little bit more from the north. Another 11 with low pressure to our north, some higher pressure to the south. Winds are sort of westerly with that. All looking unsettled, I have to say. 10 down here. Again, low pressure just to our north-northwest. 7 low pressure to our northwest. A little bit of higher pressure to our south, but even that's going to be quite unsettled. So nearly all options are involving low pressure at day 10. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. It'll get us to the 12th of May. 12 members of the ECM ensembles will have low pressure to the east and will bring down quite a cool northerly. 10 with low pressure to our north and bringing in like a flat westerly type thing. Another 10, low pressure over top of the country. That's going to be very unsettled. 8 here, low pressure around Iceland. A bit more of a westerly flow with that. Some higher pressure going to the south. And then we've got these two options just here. 6 have high pressure centred just to the north of Scotland. That's bringing back high pressure. Probably putting in quite a cool northeasterly wind, but it does settle things down. And this is probably by far the warmest option. 5 just here have high pressure centre more or less over the country and would be bringing up like a southwesterly to maybe even slightly southerly flow. That's going to be the warmest option in 2 weeks' time. But of course, only 5 are doing that. However, if you put the 5 there together with the 6 that we have there, and maybe with the 6 here, there is a possibility we might start to build up some higher pressure through the second week of May. But of course we can't discount the 12, the 10 and the 10 that we have here, but are much more unsettled, and they are of course the majority. Right, just have a look at CFS-V2, I think, and then we're going to be done. So, these are 500 millibar height anomalies broken down into week periods. The first week period will take us from the 27th of April to the 3rd of May. Coming week, again, with high pressure to our north-northwest, low pressure to our northeast. Winds will be in from a northerly direction. They're going to be cool, if not quite cold, and will be unsettled as well. Go through to week 2. This is going to be the 4th through to 10th of May. Low pressure to the northwest. Some high pressure to the south-southwest. Just starting to draw up something a little bit milder from the south, but still unsettled, really. Still low pressure in off the Atlantic. Week 3 will be the 11th through to the 17th of May. Again, low pressure to the northwest. High pressure to west of Portugal. Winds in from the west. That looks pretty flat and westerly. And week 4 looks very unsettled. Look at this, and probably quite cool as well. This is the 18th to 24th of May with trough low pressure, part over top of the UK in combination with high pressure around Greenland, but send the jet stream southwards. So cool and potentially quite wet there for week 4. This looks like a very unsettled May. If the CFS is right, temperature anomalies, this is CFS for week 1, are going to be cooler or colder than average. Week 2 is also seeing below average temperatures, albeit not to quite the same extent, but still below average with the temperature anomaly for week 2. Week 3 will be the 11th to 17th of May, still a little bit cooler than average then. And then it gets even cooler in terms of the anomaly to average anyway for week 4. 18th, 24th of May, that one also comes out below average. Precipitation wise, week 1 is actually drier than average. Will turn more unsettled though with time. Week 2 is wetter than average from the 4th to the 10th of May. Week 3 near normal from the 11th to 17th of May. And then week 4, there's no signal, but I would have thought with a trough of low pressure part over top of the country, it's likely to be wetter than average there from the 18th to 24th of May. Could be quite a wet May, but setting up here. Right, if you've enjoyed the video, please can you smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. You'll be able to see future weather content if you do that. Tell your friends, family, everybody else to subscribe. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing this. For GavsWeatherVids, and drop a comment and let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. Right, we're done for today. Tomorrow we'll have USA forecast, and we'll have another 10 to 14 day for you as well. So keep checking back for all of the updates. But for today's videos, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.